Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Technology Insurance Made Simple webinar. My name is Anae Agostini. I'm CEO of CID Insurance Programs, and I want to welcome you here today. I want to introduce Meredith Bennett, who's our National Tech and Cyber Practice Leader at USLI. She is an expert in this area, and we're lucky to have her teaching this webinar today. I also want to introduce Lexi Johnson. She's our professional liability underwriter here at CID, and she's going to be taking care of you as you need technology quotes. And then last but not least is Jacob Cole. He's our marketing coordinator, and he runs everything from behind the scenes and makes sure it goes smoothly. So let's move on and talk a little about logistics, and then I'll turn it over to Meredith. So, there we go. Logistics. So everyone pretty much by now has done a lot of Zoom meetings, I'm sure, but Zoom meetings is a little bit different. This is a webinar, and you will be on mute, but you'll be able to hear, but you won't be able to speak because there's too many of you out there. So please, your voice is important. Please enter your questions as we go along in the chat room, and we will stop and answer them throughout the webinar. There will be a short survey at the end, so please, we need your feedback as well, so I appreciate you filling out the survey. And without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Meredith.
Thank you so much, Anae, and thank you everyone for joining me today. I'm going to open up the chat so that hopefully I can see those questions that pop up. Feel free to ask them as I'm going through the presentation. Today we're going to talk about what our appetite is. It is my goal that you'll take this information that you learn and learn a little bit more about what USLI offers, but also learn enough to be able to write tech risks with any market that CID can offer to you. You'll be able to take this throughout the industry because it may not be a fit for USLI, but that's okay. So we're going to talk about important coverages, claims examples, some resources that USLI offers, and of course, how do you get more tech risks and some marketing. Okay. So when we're talking about technology errors and omissions, who needs technology errors and omissions? Who do we target? We target individuals or companies providing technology services to others. Sounds really broad, right? And sometimes it is that simple. So here's some eligible classes. I have highlighted what's selling in green for you. I'm not going to read all of these to you. I believe that Jacob's going to send you all a copy of the presentation when we're finished so that you'll have this as a reference point. But the interesting thing about the tech world is that there's a lot of different things that tech professionals can get involved in. And so you want to be sure that your policy is enterprise-wide, that it's covering them for technology services and not really limiting them to just one or two things. Because, I say that if they're doing the same thing 5 years from now that they're doing today, they're probably going to go out of business. Technology is changing so rapidly. It's actually really exciting as a technology underwriter to see all of the different innovative things that these professionals are coming up with. It's just really interesting. I'm sharing a little bit of my nerdy underwriting self there, I think, but I do absolutely love it. So we get involved in the software space, custom software development, application service providers, the apps on your phones. That's what that is. Software as a service, pretty much anything that you log into nowadays with a username and a password, and it's something that you probably have purchased a license for, especially if you think about at your business, is considered software as a service. On the networking side, we see a lot of managed service providers. That's a big, hot class right now. They weren't always called managed service providers. I've been underwriting technology E&O for about 12 years now. And we've always written managed service providers. They just weren't called managed service providers 12 years ago. They were called, network engineers or help desk or infrastructure as a service. This is basically your outsourced IT. You may have one IT person that works, at the company, but then they deal with a larger IT company on the back end that provides all of the services that a small business may not be able to handle. So we're seeing a huge uptick in those. I just said, help desk, computer repair. In the design side, we see a lot of website design and development. I can share with you over the past year, especially, there was a lot of small business that needed to adapt to what was happening in the world. Restaurants, for example, suddenly needed to be able to offer online ordering, and they may not have had that capability. So there was a huge demand for website designers that were able to help restaurants kind of redesign their website and get up and running with that ordering on site. And then when we moved to, okay, you can eat here, but maybe outside, but we want the contactless menus, coming up with all those QR codes and having it go to the website, huge uptick in that. So, that's a good fit for us. On the consulting side, that varies, right? Consulting doesn't really tell us much, but that is a class that we can consider. Home theater installation, we saw a big increase in that as well over the past year. People were putting a lot of money into their homes, and why not put in a home theater or smart home technology, things of that nature. People come and help to install that and train you on how to use it. So that was a big uptick for us over the past year. And social media marketing consultants. Social media is a huge advertising platform anymore. How do you leverage Facebook, LinkedIn, media, Instagram to help sell your business? I put at the bottom, but wait, there's more, because there's a lot of different classes that we can consider. So if you're familiar with USLI's application, or if you've gone online to get a web quote through CID, this may look familiar to you. This is how we try and capture what they're doing. I can share with you the best thing that you could do is to type in there a detailed description of the operations. But really it's just about checking off, are they database administration? I'll check that off. Maybe they're doing a little bit of help desk. I'll check that off. Maybe they're doing a little bit of network computer security. I'll check that off too. What really helps the underwriters is the description of operations. So maybe you didn't see a classification. Maybe you're not sure which one of these to pick. Terminology can change over time. And yeah, as I said earlier, 5 years from now, 12 years ago, we didn't call them managed service providers. Who knows what we're going to call them in 5 years? So that's why it is really important to have enterprise-wide coverage. The policy wording in USLI's form defines it as including but not limited to. And then as you can see, we laundry list many different technology professional services that could be offered. But that including but not limited to wording is really, really broad. And the reason we do that is so that the policy moves and grows with them. So when you get a quote with us and when you get the policy with us, it just says, here's your quote, here's your terms, here's your contract for technology professional services. It doesn't limit them to, oh, well, we're only covering website design. If you start doing search engine optimization, you're not covered for that. Nope. Guess what? Search engine optimization is a technology service, just like website design, just like software as a service. So it really allows, the policy just allows them to grow and move. Okay, so I basically just told you we're going to write all technology services. We do have some underwriting guidelines. I think the easiest way to kind of talk about what USLI does not write is best broken down into 3 specific areas. So as an underwriter, I look at, what is the worst thing that could happen if if this software wouldn't work, or if these services were to have a problem. Three areas that are of concern are bodily injury, aggravated privacy, and aggregated financial loss. So what does that mean? If I look at a risk and I say, wow, what's the worst that could happen with this? And my mind comes up with someone's going to get seriously hurt or someone could die, that's not going to be a fit for us. And you may say, well, it's just a tech consultant. How does that, what do you see that happens? Well, I'll give you a few examples. I literally just had one the other day. Another underwriter and I were talking about how innovative and neat it was, but we did pass on it. It was smart artificial intelligence surveillance cameras specifically designed for pools. And so it would alert and send distresses to whatever you have hooked up if it could tell that someone was having problems in the pool swimming, if they looked like they were in distress. So almost like an artificial intelligence lifeguard, if you will. Now it's not going to jump in and save them, but it's going to set off alarms and alerts to everyone. So if that doesn't work and someone really is in distress, that's not a good claim. Another example, bodily injury, you could say, all of those. Um, and we saw a few of them over the past year. Again, the contact tracing or the devices that scan your body temperature as you come into, a large arena. If those things don't work, some people could get really ill. Aggravated privacy concerns, what does that mean? So we talk a little bit about cyber later in the presentation, but what's going to kick it out is, are multiple people going to be affected from a large aggregated concern if there is some type of data breach, or is there a privacy concern such as a social networking platform? So we would not write a social network. We would not write a electronic medical records platform. Because if that were breached, multiple doctors' offices and then all of their patients would be affected by that breach. Aggregated financial loss. The best way to describe this and what we're seeing trending right now is fintech. And those of you in California are probably seeing a lot of this. Fintech is emerging. It's definitely innovative, not going away, but you have sort of it's almost like a tech risk plus some type of stockbroker kind of exposure as well. So all of your stockpile, Acorns, Robinhood, if you're familiar with any of those apps on your phones, we're not going to be a market for that, as well as, like cryptocurrency, any type of Bitcoin type of wallet like Coinbase, it would not be a fit for us. So again, if you're familiar with phone quoting and web quoting, you may these questions may be familiar to you because they are on our application. They may also be a prior to binding item on the quote that you receive. And this is kind of where we try and say, what do the services that the applicant is providing, what do they allow the end user to do? And those three things that I just went over, kind of a lot of them are captured here. So let's talk about coverage, right? Technology professionals, we have E&O, media, and cyber. Those are the three that I want to talk to you about today. Errors and omissions, basic, errors and omissions. I messed up. We do see a lot of E&O claims, just basic E&O claims for the technology professionals. One example is what our claims department calls scope creep. The scope of the project has creeped to a point where there's now a claim that occurs. So a really typical example is, let's say that Jacob hires me to design his website. Not a problem. And Jacob and I agree on the terms of what I'm going to create on his website. And we agree to a price. And, I know that Jacob needs this website done by August 1st. All right. Well, maybe a quarter of the way through the project, Jacob comes to me and says, "Oh, but now I also need it to do X, Y, and Z in addition to A, B, and C." And I say, "Well, okay, I think I can do that. It may cost a bit more money. Um, let me work that into the project." And then halfway through the project, Jacob says, "Wait, I changed my mind. Not only do I want it to do A, B, C, X, Y, Z, but maybe can you change Z a little bit to do this, and maybe change Y a little bit to do that?" And yeah, of course, Jacob, whatever you need, because I want to satisfy my client. And eventually we get to August 1st, and guess what? Jacob's website isn't done. I I didn't have enough time because I promised all these things, and maybe I didn't do a very good job of documenting all of the change requests that Jacob made to the project. The project kind of creeped out of the scope of what we initially had agreed upon. So now it's almost like a breach of contract. I told you I was going to get this done by August 1st at a specific price, but you also changed things in the middle of it, but maybe we didn't document those, and now we have a big problem on our hands. Jacob may need to go hire somebody else to finish the project because he's not happy with me anymore. He may be out of business because perhaps he was planning on launching a huge new product on his website August 1st, and now I just cost him money. We see that happen a lot. It's could be some major damages. So just a real simple business relationship that starts from the beginning ends up kind of getting out of hand, and both parties are going, "I don't know what to do," but now there's a claim. Failure to back up, probably our most common claim. We often see this with the managed service providers. They're supposed to keep all of the backups for their clients. So if something happens to their clients' files, they can say, "Okay, just restore my backups so I can get back up and running." And then our insured is like, "Oh, whoops, I thought that was backed up, but it wasn't." So you never know what you're supposed to be backing up for a client. We had one recently. It was a small managed service provider that was backing up um, files for an engineer, like a small engineering company. No big deal. Well, that one server that wasn't backed up happened to have major engineering design plans that they have to now recreate from scratch, which is estimated to be about $300,000. So, as the insured, you don't even know what data you're backing up sometimes. So that is a very common E&O claim. And then expertise. So this is an interesting one. Back to the website design. You may have heard about some companies claims being brought against them because their website's not ADA compliant. So, perhaps I'm hearing impaired or visually impaired, and I'm not able to view a website, with accommodations. So I may bring a discrimination claim against that website owner. Well, the website owner should probably look to their EPL policy for third-party discrimination. Some people don't realize that. But then the website owner is going to go back to me, who designed their website, and say, "What the heck? You just built this website for me and you didn't build it ADA compliant." And I'm going to say, "Well, I built it exactly the way you asked me to." And then they're going to say, "But you're the expert. You were supposed to build it so that it was ADA compliant." And you kind of get into this, you should have known. "Oh, but I just did what you told me to, but you're the expert. That's why I hired you." So I wanted to throw that claims example in there because we have seen some of those. Any questions that you want to chat about that, please feel free. I think I have it pulled up. Jacob, if you see any chats come in that I miss, please feel free to interrupt me. Media liability, an important coverage for technology professionals. Usually when we think about media liability, we think about, publications or films, artistic work, um, songs. Technology professionals do have exposure to media liability. You can have copyright infringement, trademark infringement. What about software licenses? What if, and we had this, we had an insured that was hired by an office to go in and set up new workstations, and our insured used the same software license for every single user in that office. You are supposed to buy a separate license for each user. And so it just so happened a large software company headquartered in Washington State discovered that our insured did not purchase all the licenses needed and brought a claim for software infringement. So very important. You may not even think, oh, he's just a computer consultant. Yeah, media liability is important. If you have any type of website designer, search engine optimization, anybody that does anything relatively creative, you definitely want to make sure that they have media liability. We've seen website designers that thought they bought the rights to an image and they didn't. We've seen search engine optimization professionals that have used competitors' trademarks in the meta tags that a claim was brought against them. We've had another social media marketing consultant used someone's image without her permission and created a extremely distasteful campaign for their client. The campaign on Facebook was so horrific that this client had to take down the ad like right away and made a large donation to a nonprofit to try and save face a little bit. It was the model that was in that image that said, you used my image without my permission, you depicted me in a false light, I never would have done an ad like that, my face is now always associated with that horrific ad. And that was an $800,000 claim. So media, very important. Network security and privacy liability, aka cyber liability. Cyber is so prevalent right now. I feel like all the webinars and classes that I attend are about cyber because it's still emerging. There's regulations that are still emerging. We always package our network security and privacy liability with our technology errors and omissions, just to avoid any gray area. If you don't have coverage for unauthorized access of personally identifiable information and you cause a breach or have a breach and you're a technology professional, you may end up having your E&O policy say, well, that's not covered. That should be on your cyber policy. And if your cyber policy covers or excludes coverage for services arising out of professional services, you may have two different policies pointing fingers at each other and an insured with no coverage. So we always package these together just to avoid any gray area. And it's going to cover, if they cause a breach on somebody's system or if they themselves have a breach on their system. We're also offering first-party expenses on our technology products. And that's going to be everything to respond to a data breach. If it's, the lawyer, the forensics, legally mailing to the affected individuals, credit monitoring for them, or ID restoration services, help with public relations, all of that is offered on our technology E&O products. We are pay on behalf of wording. Something to look for again as you're placing these policies. Is it reimbursement wording or is it pay on behalf of wording? As you're probably already familiar, USLI focuses on small business, and I really think pay on behalf of wording is the way to go with small businesses because we basically write the checks for all of this and don't, the insured doesn't have to find $25,000 in their bank account somewhere to pay the forensics team and then wait to be reimbursed by the insurance company. We just pay all of these experts on their behalf. And I can just share, the forensics is pretty costly a lot of the times, even more than the legal team. You're also going to find data restoration, business interruption, cyber extortion. We also offer additional third-party cyber liability, and that would be anything stemming from regulatory action as well as payment card industry fine penalties and assessments. We offer this on our Microtech product for, they can get a $250,000 limit for $100, $1 million limit for $200. That's a lot of coverage for $200. And you will always see this, again, if you're familiar with our quote letters, that first party, what I just went over, all of that is available. You'll see on this screen, it's option 4, add $100 for privacy breach expense in defense of regulatory claims. That's a $250,000 limit. If you need higher, you can just reach out to CID and they can have the underwriter change that for you. So Microtech is one of USLI's products for technology professionals, and it's designed for up to $1 million in revenue and up to 7 employees or owners. So if they fit both of those criteria, they're going to get the errors and omissions, network security privacy liability, media liability, general liability, $25,000 of business personal property, $50,000 of business interruption. We throw in hired non-owned auto, a blanket additional insured for GL, our property enhancement endorsement. In the state of California, they're going to get all of that if they're one person, because it's rated on the number of people. They're going to get all of that for everybody. Hold on to your hats. $821. That's a lot of coverage for a very small premium. And then it's only an extra $200 to add that $1 million limit of the first party expenses. Now, if it's over $1 million and over 7, we can still take a look at it. We just have a different product for that. We can handle up to $15 million in revenue, and where we stop there, we have a sister company that CID can share, and that's Devon Park Specialty, and they can handle up to $500 million. So we can offer a lot of coverage, and we can handle your technology risks. A great cross-sell opportunity, okay, $821, that's not gonna pay my mortgage with that commission, no, but a lot of them really add up and they tend to stay on the books, right? And great cross-sell opportunity, upsell the GL or upsell the excess or umbrella, because we can handle that too. It doesn't come automatically, but just say, hey, can I get an umbrella with that? And we'll write over the GL and the hired non-owned auto and someone else's employer's liability. And if you have a bigger account, why not cross-sell the employment practices liability? We try and make it so fast and easy to get a quote with us. We need the name of the client, the state and the zip code, total annual revenue, the number of principals, partners, officers. As I mentioned, Microtech especially is rated on that number. The description of services. If it's software, what's the software do? Or what software are they an expert in? Just a basic description of services. Websites help the underwriters a lot. And if you didn't see a coverage in what I already talked about, I just wanted to let you know that we do have a Protect product, which is geared, as I mentioned, up to 15 million. There's no cap on employees or owners. And there you're going to find a little bit more robust coverage, but that is non-admitted. So where our Microtech product is admitted, our Protect product is non-admitted, but there's a little bit more robust coverage there, as it is designed for the larger individuals. And you'll find more robust cyber coverages. You'll find your wire transfer fraud, your cryptojacking, your bricking, all of those crazy terms in the cyber world right now. We have all of that. And then some value-added services. We have the Business Resource Center that is for all policyholders that offers many, many things. If you're not familiar with the USLI's offerings for the Business Resource Center, you can, please go to that website, bizresourcecenter.com. We're offering discounted background checks, people systems, which is like basically having your own HR team at your fingertips if you're a policyholder that comes with your policy, and also eRisk Hub. eRisk Hub is an online risk management tool designed for all things cyber. Really great place for technology professionals if they're wondering, hey, I may need like a privacy policy to implement for my client. I wonder if I can find a sample one for them to use. Yes, you can find that there. You can find training videos, perhaps the insured needs to train either their employees, or maybe a client has hired the insured to train their employees on phishing. They can go there and find training videos. So really great resource for all policyholders. And then how do you get, I talked a lot about phone and web quotes. So how do you do that? Here is our CID's web quoting link and also the phone quoting number. You'll get one of several underwriters. It could even be me. So if you do get me, just say, hey, I listened to your webinar. I would love that. But we do have a dedicated team to do the phone quotes, and sometimes they're so busy that the calls come out to the in-house underwriters. So I love to talk to people who say, I just attended your webinar. So please let me know. And with that, I didn't see any questions in the chat, but I will turn it back over. And if you have any questions, please chat them.
That was great, Meredith. I really enjoyed listening to you because you're just full of so many claims examples that just actually bring it all together. So thank you so much. And I want to thank everyone for joining us today. And please, if you have any questions, feel free that you can still type them into the chat room, and we will answer them. Lexi is definitely your underwriter for technology and all of your professional liability needs. So please reach out to her if any questions on any particular risks that you would like her to quote for you. Make sure you visit our website and see all the tools that we have there available, and our applications are there as well. So, and the other thing is I think Jacob will send out some information, and he'll make sure that you have that phone and quote web phone number and link for web quoting. So thank you all for joining us, and have a great rest of your day. Bye.